Hello, everyone. Sorry. Hello. My name is Focus or Focusite. Call me Focus. I mainly run Sonic 06, but I've decided, here to run a wonderful Sega Saturn game, kind of Sega Saturn game on Power Up of Pride. This is honestly a lovely opportunity. I'm really fortunate to be here, and I've loved everything about it so far, and so I'm hoping I can do my best. To preface this run, I want to just explain a few things I've done before I actually start. So, important things I want to mention: there is a fair amount of randomness in this, and a fair amount of just luck in this run. You can combat it a tad with some certain positioning, but if things don't go perfectly, that's okay. There's a reason why this run isn't usually that marathon friendly, but I'm trying my best anyhow. Now, this category specifically, any percent, it allows for something called out of bounds, which in turn allows for lap skips. So effectively, instead of playing the actual course, we're going to break the course and complete laps in record amounts of time. It's different from the main category most people play, which is any percent, no out of bounds, and the 100% and whatnot. So it'll be a bit of a different experience overall. I've also changed the weather settings. The weather settings are set to be clear at all times because we don't want randomness with the state of weather, because snow can make you more slippery, and I don't actually know what rain does, to be honest, but we want a clear day for this marathon, so we've set it to always be a clear day. Okay, with that, I think I'm ready to actually start the run. So I'll count you down, okay, to split. Does that sound good? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. So there are 5 stages in this game, and completing the game is just needing to get first in all the 5 stages. Doesn't matter how or when, just get first in all 5 stages. So the important thing with the out of bounds category, with the any percent as is that you need to be able to get out of bounds first, which is somewhat random. And then you need to go around the actual start line out of bounds so that it registers that you completed a lap without having to actually go through the entire lap. So, for instance, that's the entirety of the first stage completed in less than 30 seconds. The reason for that is because the lap itself, so the trigger for the actual finish line, it only needs to register that you haven't crossed it over again to register a lap, so that you've gone sort of around where it actually registers, and then go in like small circles in order to register that, oh, you've crossed it. Sometimes it's a bit different than others. It's a bit weird where it actually registers. For instance, in this stage, you kind of have to go in a bigger circle to avoid having to cross over it again. But basically, as long as you're on the same plane as the lap trigger itself, you should be okay. Certain stages don't have lap triggers, but others do. Or certain stages you can't really skip a lap fully. Here, it actually is possible. Okay, I'm gonna have to restart there. Certain stages it is possible. Pretty much all 4 of the main stages, but the last stage there's no full lap skip as such. But this current stage I'll mention, Radical City, is a bit random. This starting one is very difficult, and it's often where a lot of the actual runners start. They begin on Radical City because it's kind of reset heavy. However, I'm just trying my best. There are 2 exit points. There's one over at the front there at the start. And there's one over here. If I can just slide through, I'm gonna try my best. If you can go back and forth, there's what's it called? Drifting in this game is kind of broken. There we go. Drifting in this game is fairly broken, and there are 2 reasons for that. One, it can allow you to go out of bounds, but secondly, if you actually drift against a straight line or like a really nice surface, for instance, it's actually faster than having to than any traditional movement speed. So you'll be seeing in certain stages we're going to be drifting a lot. For instance, the last stage has a lot of drifting, but overall, you want to be safer in certain places than others. So if there's like a really steep turn, don't drift against that really tight wall. It won't actually help you very much. But I'll mention another thing right now. Amy. The reason why we're using Amy is because Amy has a move that no other character in the game has, which is his boost. And while her movement speed isn't the fastest in-game, the boost allows for easier clips, because clips effectively rely upon geometry and the speed at which you get them. That clip right here in Radical, not Radical, Regal Ruin is actually consistent. You just need to have the right direction and the right aim, and then just boost through it. It's one of the only places with a really consistent clip, and as such, it makes it viable. The reason also, the original route for this actually used Sonic here and set the weather to ice, because no one actually used this Amy clip because we didn't think it was so consistent, but it actually is really consistent. Sonic clips are the same way. It's a drift and then a jump through that same spot, but this means you don't have to go back through the menu, and it saves like about at least 30 seconds in terms of actual like RTA. But yeah, overall, I should also mention the version here we're using, the GameCube version, is really weird in that it's an emulation of the Windows port of the Saturn version. And compared to the original Saturn version, it's quite different. The camera's in a different spot. The clips are generally easier on this version, but it's still kind of difficult to predict. What else is there that's really different? The final stage looks completely different on Saturn. It actually has a transparent effect that doesn't exist on any other version. Okay, I'm not getting very good luck here with Reactive Factory, but yeah, the clips out are the hardest part of this category by far. There we go. The good thing about Amy is that she doesn't lose that much speed on water, which is another reason we like having her for the run. All the other characters sink when they touch water, and so it makes it much slower to go through on water. And because a lot of the out-of-bounds areas, like this one here, and the entirety of the out-of-bounds on Regal Ruin, are actually on water instead of on ground. And so, therefore, you don't lose that much speed if you have Amy out-of-bounds. So now we're on the final stage. That was a short game. So the final stage, Radiant Emeralds. The clip here is a bit more difficult to get. It's considerably more difficult than any of the other ones, and this is the real run killer, is Amy. Generally, to play it safe, you play as Knuckles, who is the best character to use for any percent no out-of-bounds. But I'm actually going to try some of these clips right here. I will try it 3 times, and if I don't get it, I will switch to Knuckles. I mean, we have enough time, I think, to actually try this seriously, but... Okay, there we go. We clipped out there. So the important thing there is the angle. You can't actually get on the same plane as the finish line here because of the fact of where it's positioned. It's positioned right above places that are actually inbounds, and there's no... The sky isn't solid, for instance. So what you have to do is you need to be careful and ensure that you break out in such a way that you don't cross over the finish line in reverse, and just sort of like perpendicular to it. You want to like launch out so that you don't actually register as not completing a lap. It is much worse if you don't, because then that wastes a lot of time. Okay, I'm gonna hope this works here. Okay, we've gotten decent luck. We got it at second try. So I mentioned drifting. I actually didn't drift a lot there because I wanted to collect rings. You need rings. Ring management's really important in the no out of bounds category, and it's important for this last stage. Mainly because you want to make sure you get open that gate, because then you can... this is a shortcut that saves about, I think, 5 seconds. I'm drifting against this wall because it's fairly straight, and it's you know, it doesn't curve that much, and because of that, it's easy. It's more reliable. And there we go. All 3 lap skips got in a run on this. Wow, that's actually pretty lucky. But also, yeah, I'm actually happy with that. Also, if you haven't noticed, the lovely rainbow colors that are exclusive to the Windows Stroke GCN port. On the Saturn, it's like lime green and like light rose yellow, or pink even. You know, it looks pretty nice. Also, we're about to lap Tails, and time. I actually don't know the time because I'm not watching the stream. Well, that was a run. And yeah, that's the end of the game. That concludes Sonic R, and what was the time on that? Can anyone tell me the time?
I believe when you crossed the finish line, it was 7:47.
Not bad. Not bad. That's better than any of the practice I had, to be honest. And with an all Amy run, that's pretty good. With no resetting to Nux. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So yeah, Sonic R as a game is really interesting because it is short, as you noticed. It's less than 10 minutes. It's so short that in fact I didn't actually get to talk about all the points I wanted to. So I probably said like verbal diarrhea there. I'm really sorry. So let me just explain a few more things that I actually, never I didn't really mention here. In terms of lap times, almost every character can actually break out with enough luck. Drifting, for some reason, lets you get the correct angle to then escape the stage in most places. So, for instance, at the one in Resort Island, the first stage we did, you can break out of there as pretty much every character except, I think, Eggman and a few of the unlockable robots. But because we're doing any percent, you don't unlock any of those characters. You keep with the 4 that you have to start. Sonic, who is fast but kind of slippery. Tails, who is the most slippery being known to man. Like, they've just made him ice. Knuckles, who's the most all-rounded and generally what you want to use for, any percent no out of bounds. And Amy, who is used exclusively pretty much for any percent because her quick drifting, relatively tight drifting, her ability to drive on water without losing that much speed, and her ability to do all the clips in all the stages and save time. There was a second clip that is actually faster but is much more luck-based in that same final stage, which is you can drift against, like, really hard against the first wall to your left, and you can hope you break out. I've only gotten that once as I believe Egg Robo, and it is not reliable for RTA purposes, so I'm actually really glad we got all Amy clips. That went really well. But yeah, that's Sonic R, really. It has a beautiful soundtrack, and honestly, I actually bought the Saturn version just to see how different it was very recently. Imagine trying to play this game. I mean, I didn't say this much, but I actually use the D-pad most of the time in this game. It's a 3D game, but the B button on the GameCube at least allows you to accelerate, and the A button allows you to use your special input, which is jumping if you're Sonic, which is a double jump, flying if you're Tails, gliding if you're Knuckles, and the boost if you're aiming. So you don't actually need to have like the control stick at all. It's much easier with the D-pad, honestly. But thanks everyone. I'm really glad this went well. Yeah. I actually don't have much else to say. This game is so tight-knit, but it's really fun. If any of you are interested in looking into the game, get the GameCube version, which is on the Sonic Gems collection. That version is the version used for speedrunning because of the fact that it, either that or the PC release, but not a lot of people use the Windows release, or the Windows 98 release. And the Saturn version's not really used at all. Although, funnily enough, do you guys remember Regal Ruin? On the Saturn version, I did that same clip as Amy, and because the drifting on the Saturn is actually tighter, it feels significantly different, and you don't, like, have that sort of drift cloud behind you, which indicates you're going faster, which means drifting is harder on the Saturn version, but it actually allows for tighter laps. So, for instance, I got, like, 1 second, 96 centiseconds on Regal Ruin, which I think is 3rd place out of any character. But yeah, that's Sonic R, really. Thank you guys so much for watching, honestly. Everyone, really. This is wonderful. And this went much better than I ever thought it would, so. I really hope
so much.
Yeah, that was I'm sorry if that was intensive. I'm very talkative. I'm the anxious, talkative gay type. That's me. And yeah, you can ask my boyfriend all about it, but I really do hope everyone here is having a lovely time, and I really do hope that every one of the runners does well as well. There's so much support that we've had for this, and it's been wonderful.